Okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us. I'm calling this meeting to order. This is the Laredo Urban Transportation Study, otherwise known as the Metropolitan Planning Organization, MPO. Policy Committee. Today is April the 19th, 2019. It's 1:35 p.m. and we're meeting here at City Council Chambers in Laredo, Texas, 1110 Houston Street. Thank you again for joining us. Can I have a roll call, please? Ms. Guerra.
Certainly. Mayor Pete Martin Sainz.
Present.
Webb County Judge Dano E. Tijerina.
Present.
Councilmember Norma Nelly Vielma. Councilmember Dr. Marta Martinez.
Present.
Councilmember George Algel.
Present.
County Commissioner Jesse Gonzalez. County Commissioner John Galo.
Present.
And Texas District Engineer Mr. David M. Salazar.
Present.
Good, we have a quorum, so go ahead.
Now the motion to excuse those that are absent.
Second. There's a motion, a second is heard. Discussion, none heard. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against say no.
I guess
None
we
heard,
should
motion carries.
recognize that there was a quorum first.
Right. Citizens' comments. Anyone wishing to speak on any issue, please come forward. You have 3 minutes, and if not, thank you, and we'll move to the next item. Yes, you know, I'm approaching the lectern here, so I guess we're item 4 now. Items requiring policy committee action.
Judge.
The approval of the minutes for the meeting held. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Let the record reflect it. Commissioner Gonzalez.
Commissioner Jesse Gonzalez is not with us. I let the record reflect that. Commissioner, how are you? So we're now item 4A, approval of the minutes for the meeting held on July 15th, 2019.
Move to approve. There's no amendments or changes.
Being no amendments or changes, there's a motion, seconded, discussion. None heard. All those in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
All those against? None heard. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. The next item is receive public testimony and approve resolution number MPO 2019-05, and that's adopting the 2020 Unified Planning Work Program, UPWP.
So move to open up the public hearing.
It's a motion to open up the public hearing, seconded, discussion. None heard. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against? None heard. Motion carries unanimously. Yes, Mr. Kirby or Ms. Guerra or TechStop? Yeah, anyone?
Yes, I'd just like to say briefly that what you see here is a reflection of a direction we want to go, where we want to bring staff and expertise on board and use consultants less for the planning work that we're doing for the MPO. That will allow us to be much quicker in our responses when we need to study things out. It will also get a greater value for our money. It's often expensive to bring consultants down from out of city to Laredo, and we want to take greater ownership of the projects we have, and having that data, owning that data, creating it here allows us to do so. So that's the intent with putting more into the regional planning and admin category, so that we can hire an active transportation planner, a regional planner, a GIS planner, and other staff that will allow us to do those things.
Okay, these monies come from what category? And I know they're state funds, I guess, but some of them do come from federal funds as well.
They're planning funds. They're strictly for planning.
From
planning
where?
efforts.
From TechStop.
From they're federal funds that are funneled through TechStop to the MPOs.
Okay, and these are strictly items that we have full control over. Correct?
Absolutely, but
right.
Strictly for planning efforts.
So, Mayor, if you don't. No, I was just going to ask: is this an annual budget? This $1,090,000?
This is not. Our regular appropriation would cover the staff that we're asking to hire, but this year we have a buildup of funds, and this year we're spending some of those on above and beyond what would be
But the
staff.
420, is that an annual? Is that going to be an annual figure?
About 550 is what our annual would be.
So 550 is staff, and then I just wanted to make sure with TechStop, is there anything here that would be duplicated?
No, I think Mr. Simons applauded his efforts for moving in the right direction. This $1 million is a contract that we did sign with the city of Laredo, It is money that comes from TxDOT for MPO concerns. I did have a question on the 420, and you just answered that question. And you mentioned hiring 3 skilled persons to the task, but you kind of answered that the rest of the city will be picking that up, correct, Mr. Steinman?
Yes, we appropriate how much we're spending for each staff.
So this
monthly.
supplements your.
So if we were ever to use some of these people for city business, then we could appropriate that staff time that month. Let's say the GIS person, we wanted to use some of their staff time for city stuff. That month, we could take 20% of their time and the city would pay for it. And then that money would then accumulate with the MPO to be used on future projects. So these are MPO staff for MPO planning, but we have some flexibility because they're technically city employees, and the MPO would be contracting them, I guess would be the appropriate arrangement.
And to answer your question, Mr. Gaylor, it is a contract that's renewed, I think, yearly, with the funds available to the cities.
Okay.
Yeah, but you mentioned that this is just a portion of, is there a balance out there somewhere that we should know?
I believe we have about 1.2 or 1.3 that's saved up from previous years, because we haven't used it all every year, but we get an
This is
annual.
strictly for planning purposes only.
Strictly for planning purposes, that's correct. We get an annual appropriation of about 550 that comes from the federal government through TxDOT to us. These are long-established funds, starting in the 1960s with the Federal Highway Act. These aren't things that are risky or going away soon, so we can establish long-term staff like the majority of MPOs that are this size and larger do.
Mayor? You have a question?
Yes, if I just finish. So retirement and all the fringe and stuff that would be allocated to those individuals, would that be the responsibility of the city then, or how is that gonna be? Because, I know the city has the matching funds and the.
That's a good question to consider. That I think the arrangement that would help to understand what we're doing is the MPO is contracting these staff from the city, and that appropriation includes not just the cost of their salary, but the cost of benefits on top of that. So
But at some point, if the contract ends, they're gonna be city employees and you're stuck with just so you understand that if they're contracting, they're contract labor only for us, for the MPO board.
That's correct, and there are, these funds are very stable, number one, but also number two, if, the city has in the past has had to shrink, that can happen when funds aren't there, but these, I don't want you to worry, these are funds that are long-standing and
No, I just wanted to make it,
politically risky.
clear so they know that TxDOT doesn't come back and say, we can't be on the hook for this, so.
Understood.
I don't have it in front of me, but there is a contract and specifically what you can do with these funds and you can't do. I just don't have it in front of me, but I'm sure Mr. Steinman can provide that and verify that.
Yes,
Mr. Mayor, yeah, no, as I understand it, from a practical matter, that these expenditures, specifically with regard to the incorporating of in-house staff, will allow the MPO to be much more versatile instead of this current paradigm that we're in right now, which is that we're very much reactionary, and then we have, we need a consultant, and then the procurement phase, and then that takes place, and then the study happens, and whereas with what I'm seeing here will give us trained personnel that will be able to provide data relatively quickly and help us make much more informed decisions in a timely way, as opposed to just kind of this. I mean, if we, and I think we've all voiced our frustrations in many ways, in that things, at least certainly as it relates to government, but more so at the MPO, things just are on this very protracted, long, bureaucratic, space-time continuum, and with qualified personnel in key places, we might be able to do some of these studies in-house, as well as make much more timely, informed decisions. So I motion to approve the 2020 Unified Planning Work Program.
Okay,
I'll second that, but
in a second, the discussion, go ahead.
you need to make the call for the public before we vote on it.
Yeah. Well, let's
One quick
switch to.
thing, I just want to make sure
Yeah.
that, I want to understand these numbers that you guys are saying. So you threw out the number of 550,000. That's annual? budget for people?
Roughly the appropriation we get for planning work to the MPO. And we can spend that on staff, or we can spend it on consultants. And
Okay,
we've
so it's
got a
550.
build up at this point.
We've built it up over time. The annual budget is gonna be 420.
The annual appropriation will be 550. The annual budget for staff, if we're fully staffed, would be 420.
What other uses do we have for this money?
This is for planning work, so we can hire
I know.
consultants to do the planning work.
I get it,
Projects or
but you can't
steps.
pay for a plan with this.
Well, you mean, like, get a consultant to do the plan? Yes,
Yes.
yes, we could.
Okay.
And that's what, I don't want in any way this to be a reflection on the work the MPO has done previously. I think Vanessa has done a fantastic job. And so this is not in any way a mark of that. But I come in with a different set of skills. I've worked in over 100 cities across the country, over 10 years as a consultant,
And Mr.
creating many
Steiner,
of these projects myself.
One question.
Yes, sir.
If we've had these, we've outsourced some of these things previously. If we get these qualified people, are there any plans that we won't be able to do in-house that we may need to have some funds available just in case we do need to outsource?
There will be some amount of work that will require a certain amount of expertise that we can still go out for contract, and that
We're getting
excess.
550 appropriated, and we're spending 420 on people, on just staff. That only gives us, what's the math, 130?
But there's a
Annual,
balance of 1.2 million.
but we have the 1.2 million that you're saying that we've built up, so you feel comfortable that we'll have enough in reserves to kind of, in case that happens, we'll be
You're using
okay?
$1,090,000, no?
I do.
Is that, okay. And then, as far as, the question of whether we're paying, so the city is going to hire these people,
That's correct.
and then the MPO will fund some of those salaries,
That's correct.
okay? But we won't, the MPO will not be funding the benefits.
No, they will be, this budget would be for funding the salary and the benefits, the true cost of the employee,
So the whole cost.
the whole cost.
Okay, so the MPO is then funding the whole cost.
Exactly.
Okay. Is that how you had understood? Okay, perfect, that's all.
One last question though, what has been the annual, disbursement of planning funds?
The last time I looked at these numbers, and I think Saunders here, it's relatively close to the $1 million.
Okay.
950 last year, I believe, the year before that. Saunders, is that correct?
But it is a 550 amount, it's based on the population, it's based on all that, so the,
Yes, thank you for coming up. Your full
Okay.
name?
You
Yeah,
can
you
just
can-
I think
stand
it's in
there,
the middle.
pick you up.
It's
Do
in
you
the
see
middle
that
side.
red cherry there?
okay, which Rich,
Oh, yeah, the one on,
Middle.
okay.
There.
Can you hear me?
It's good.
Okay, Sara Garza, TxDOT, MPO, TPP. The funding that is allocated is based on on the population of, that's how they determine all the MPOs, the 25 MPOs we have. So based on that, for Laredo, we usually get like 550,000, like he said. However, since they haven't been using their money because they didn't have staff and all, that money has been accumulating and we've been carrying it forward. So that's why now you have $1,093,000 or whatever that is. So, but pretty much the amount given is about 550.
okay, and that was my question, because here, you're projecting $1,090,000.
Well, this is
Because of the
just for next
carryover.
year.
Yeah, so I'm saying you're using up all your surplus.
Well, there's more surplus than this, but we're only using $1,090,000.
Well, I thought she said there was $1,093,000.
That reflects what we're asking for next year, but that's not our full rollover amount.
Okay, well, let me ask you this, once we apply this amount, what's the balance?
Well, if he uses it all, it's gonna be only the 550 again.
550, right? It's using it all, right?
If he's
That's what I'm
using it
saying,
all.
we don't have any cushion in case, like Dr. Martinez said, if he
Right, because
wanted
it's based on whatever, it's given on the population density, depending on what
No,
There's
FHWA.
a
That-
one-
that
there's
we
a
understand
130
it's-
cushion, right? There's a 130 cushion.
Probably.
No, the 130, but like, well, would
How
the
much-
staff do the traffic study like, that we just,
Could I-
200 and something thousand?
Maybe to provide some further input. This is if we were fully staffed, starting at the beginning of the year, we would use all of that staff. This is if we contract every project that's on this list, which we may not, and that's if every project, the consultant charges the max amount we could give. So my guess, looking at this, will probably be somewhere 60–70% of that will actually use what
This
we're
year.
asking to use. But I can't ask for 60–70% if we needed to go on any one of these above and beyond. So I'm asking you, if best case scenario, we had all the employees there starting day one of
I'm
next
just
fiscal
saying,
year.
we're talking about this year. What about next year? Next year, you should be fully staffed, right?
That would be ideal, yes, but we'd have a rollover the previous year of 30, 40% of.
Plus the
of this.
550.
Plus the 550 that's gonna come in, plus the additional we're not using this year that we still have rolled over. So
No,
there
I'm
is
saying-
gonna be a cushion.
I understand, but you can't, in my humble opinion, you can't plan so tight. Right? If you do that, you can put yourself in a situation where the worst outcomes happen, right? And then we're scratching our head thinking, how did we get here? And what are we gonna do to get out of this? And so I'm just a little concerned about spending $1,090,000, which is all we have in reserve, and then hoping that we actually don't get anything accomplished. That seems kind of backwards, right? We want to get everything accomplished, right? But we wanna, whatever we wanna fund, we wanna get accomplished. We don't wanna stretch ourselves, and then we're too thin. We're too thin. So I'm a little concerned about that. I think that we should leave at least a little in reserve and always have that as a backup in case another project pops up that may be really beneficial, because things sometimes happen quickly. I mean, obviously, we haven't seen it recently, but sometimes monies come available, and when they do, and when we have access to them, we need to be able to react accordingly. So that's my concern with spending $1,090,000 and then leaving 130 in reserve.
Yeah, I would suggest too, based on the history that we've had, things take some time, and I think there'll be some room there to, to determine that. Like he's saying, 60–70% we can utilize, and maybe there's a cushion of 30%. I suspect
Well, does anybody have the actual number? Because she's saying it's $1,093,000, he's saying there's more.
Well, $1,093,000 is all I've asked.
Well, no, it's $1,090,000 here according to this.
That's all I've asked for
Okay,
with next
but
year.
what is the actual amount? Who
For
has
this-
that number?
For this coming year, it'll be that.
No, total with all the rollover.
Accumulated. The total amount that we have accumulated that we could.
What's the balance right now?
Oh, no, it's just whatever we rolled over to you. So it's not gonna be more than that,
It's $1,090,000.
yes.
See,
Well,
in
I
my-
thought there was a 550 rollover.
No, that's, the question you all asked was,
Plus-
how much
plus
do they get
consultants.
annually? And annually, based on, you get that amount, that
Yeah, but we've
550
been
amount.
accumulating.
But
You
we,
get the 550, and then if you spend it, and then, let's say, you don't
That's
spend all of it,
consultants,
it stays behind, then it rolls over to the next year. But then again, this year, you're gonna have $1,093,000, and then if you spend $1,093,000, then for next year, based on, you're only gonna get the 550.
$1,093,000 is not all we have. I just talked with Vanessa. We don't have that exact number, but we can get that to you. My understanding is it's somewhere between $1,200,000 and $1,300,000 that we have accumulated. We could fully ask for that next year, but we're not. We're only
is
asking.
there somebody we can call to get the exact number?
Yeah, and every year, we wait for every year, that's why we give them work orders, which is the amount that's allocated to them. So as soon as we get that for the new year,
We just can't make decisions on approximations. I don't do that in my business, and I don't think the city or the MPO should do that either. We need to know what we're talking
Well,
about.
would
well,
you,
at the end of the year, they get an amount, which is, I think what you said, right, $1 million?
This 1,090 is a conservative number.
1,000,000.
I'm sorry, this 1,090,000, I'm sorry, is a conservative number, because next year rolls in another
550.
550,
think
and
that's
all we need for, as far as, from a staffing standpoint, is 420. That's 130, that's like 20% of the ask in reserve, as I see it.
well, what about a compromise here, and because you think you're not gonna get to some of these things this year. Let's take one or two things off the list and put it on for next year, and approve that.
Are you gonna fund your staff 100%? See, like right now, I think the MPO is not funding their staff 100%.
Well, let me ask you this, do we need to approve it today? Can we prove it next time?
Actually, no, it was due August 1st.
Yeah,
So
okay.
we-
That's why you're supposed to close the public hearing and approve and adopt.
Yeah, and
not
other
adopt.
MPOs fund their staff in
I don't have a problem with the staff.
in a very
If I can, just
meaningful way.
very succinctly, let me try to explain again. We've got over the $1,090,000 that we could pull from that has accumulated previously. There is also a risk that if we don't take all that's there in a rollover, that can go away. That's not something that's guaranteed to stay with us. If it's monies that we're not using, I mean, we know how that works from a city level. Sometimes it'll go somewhere else. So there's a risk if we store up too big a cushion and don't use it, that also goes away. So we have projects that we're wanting to accomplish. It doesn't mean next year we'll get consultants. It doesn't mean we'll use up all that funding in next fiscal year. Likely a project would extend over 2 fiscal years. So I'm thinking a reality situation next year based on the time it takes to get staff and how and when these projects will start and if they will start. We're looking at, of this $1,090,000, 60% that we'll actually pull from. And that's gonna leave us money as a cushion for the remaining fiscal year that will roll over the next year, and then we'll get another chance to.
Well, it doesn't leave it as a cushion because it's actually encumbered.
I would, you know, I know it's a city concern, but I would be cautious about that. Now, there is federal dollars, the FHWA gentleman is here. This 550 is set aside for the MPO to run fishing and whatever they need. For example, Vanessa can, if she has to put these binders together, she charges against this budget that's here. There is other MPOs that they go out and they hire a MPO director outside of the city and outside of TxDOT that's independent. That works well, and that salary is funded out of this 550 budget. You could budget the 420, realizing the fact that if you get to a point where there is no more longer MPO monies, the city's gonna have to pick up, and I think that's a concern with,
Or
Mr. Gaylor.
alternatively, let go. Cities are versatile, and we hire, and we fire, and we lay off. I mean, I don't think we're memorializing anything into stone here. The whole point of this conversation is to have some versatility in staff, and so, I mean, you know,
No, but we're not talking about,
and there is a balance that they have to invoice Ms. Garza on a monthly basis as far as the money that's being pulled out of it. And there is a balance that she keeps track of. I think that's being
And
done.
at the end of the, yeah, August 31st.
One more point.
David, if I may, because I'm just trying to figure out what's the best way to do this, and I think Dr. Martinez and I have basically the kind of same concerns. I don't have a problem with the staffing. If we do the whole $1,090,000, is it encumbered? Are those funds protected even if they're not used?
They become encumbered on the city side when we sign the contracts, if we're gonna go out for consultants.
No.
But if-
What I'm asking right here, so we adopt this that you're asking us to adopt, so all of a sudden now,
No,
well, see, that's not good. I want the money encumbered. But you're saying it can go away. Well, if it's not encumbered, that's why I'm asking him, is this money protected? You know, if it's better to go ahead and fund the whole thing and protect the money.
Remember, TxDOT will only, these monies become available to us once they issue the authorization letter, and the authorization letter doesn't come until October, and it comes in portions. So even though we're approving $1,090,000, in October, they'll send us our initial authorization of like 78,000.
Yeah, but they're committed to.
And then in December, they send us another authorization letter for like another big chunk.
Correct me if
And then
I'm
you
wrong,
don't get the
sir,
rest
but-
of it until March, so it comes in.
But I mean, you get
sort
the
of
money
chunks.
whether you do the
TxDOT
project or
has signed
not?
off on the $1 million as of now.
Yeah, because, yeah, you get the money whether you do it or not. And then that money, that's why it becomes, if you don't use it, then it kind of stays as a, I guess.
Well, let me ask you this, have
Well,
we
that-
lost monies in the past?
No,
You know, have we returned monies in the past?
about 12 years ago, I think it
Oh,
was
that's okay.
30,000, but I think
Because they didn't
TxDOT
use
worked
the
with us.
But recently, I mean, we're
No.
okay.
You see what happens now, once you transfer that money and say they haven't used it, then you're kind of like, okay, well, now we need 250,000 to do an outside consultant because they can't do it. Is the city gonna pony up and say, all right, we're gonna return this money if there's not enough?
a little more insight. It's not a study we would go out for, but small portions, very technical things that we may need some technology for. But if we're really interested in fiscal responsibility here, we had on the work plan, the first draft, 250,000 set aside for a bicycle master plan. That was probably 2 or 3 times what it should cost if we went to a consultant and we were a competitive situation in a city. And that would be like 5 times what it would cost staff time to have a full-time staff working on that 3/4 of the year, and their staff, you know, their salary and benefits are 75 and 50 of that's paid. So in other words, we have been consistently overpaying for the work that we're doing. 1, because of our geography, and 2, because maybe a lack of experience of someone who has done these long-range plans. I've completed over 200 studies in over 100 different cities. That expertise puts this MPO in a very unique situation to have staff well-trained to complete them. So if we're interested in spending this money and getting the best value for our dollar, then what I'm suggesting to do will allow us to do that.
In my, experience, having been on the MPO now for about 4 years, is the paradigm that we currently have of 30 days punt, 30 days punt, 30 days punt, repeat. It hasn't gotten us that far, only because, of dumb luck and some elbow grease from TxDOT recently. Have we kind of the seas have parted, and we now see a way to the promised land. But I believe in trusting the experts. We hired an expert at the city level, and at some point in time, we are going to decide as an MPO or as a council whether or not we're going to let Mr.
Personally, I feel the same way
Schneidman.
too. I think there's enough room there. I think, we'll
Currently
try it for a
50.
year and see what
Yeah,
it
and
takes us.
if it doesn't work, we got some
We'll shrink it
versatility,
down,
and we can
yeah.
shrink it, scale it back, and
Currently, 50% of my time is billed to the MPO.
And
And that's also something that could change and free up funds.
also, too, we won't lose the money. Obviously, there'll be more of a need than what we have, so it'll help out. Are we ready?
I have a question. if you
Yes,
don't
sir.
mind. Did this go to the technical committee?
Did.
What was the solution there? What were the answers there?
Concerns were brought up.
No concerns, and then you had all these concerns up here? That makes no sense.
Well, they're internal. We
Yeah, but
can't
that's the
look at
ones
it.
that's our filter.
That's
I mean,
true.
we're up here to supposed to be making, basically, yes, we could ask all these technical questions, I'm not saying we shouldn't. And for us to get, familiar and educate ourselves with, but that's the reason what the technical committee's for.
The technical committee,
I've just been having a problem with the technical committee, and I don't even know who's on there. I've already found out a couple of people, but it has nothing to do with the people, it has to do with what they're doing. This is the reason why I think we should be coming up here, and a lot of these questions should already be answered. These questions are great questions, every single one of them had great questions. Where are the answers from the technical committee?
But I think you have some people from the county also there.
Well, it has nothing to do with the people, it has to do with just, these are the things that I've been kind of bringing back over and over again about the technical committee.
I agree with you.
You should be doing
In
the grunt
principle,
work.
that it should filter down so that you're not hearing an hour-long presentation
Yes.
about how we engineer this specific road. That's something for a technical committee, but these questions you're dealing with, the budget and expenses, I'm glad you're asking them. These are more political questions, and this is more of a political committee, so that they
it's
didn't.
policy.
Policy, so that they didn't look at it from a policy, political perspective that we're doing here, I think is appropriate. Whereas when we take technical things there that are much more detailed and analytical, and we're looking at the engineering of it, and we're looking at the data, I would think we'd spend much more time there and bring you a concise, more formed opinion, and then you vote on that. We did talk about it. I did present my idea of why I'm shifting more into admin. Just no concerns were brought up like they were here.
Okay.
I call for the question.
You still haven't addressed the public, and,
Oh, that's right, yeah.
and,
It's a
and
public
I
hearing.
still, you're asking me to vote on something, and you can't give me a firm number. I mean, if it's $1.2 million, $1.3 million, $1.4 million, or is it 900,000? I do not know what's in that rollover. And you're asking us to vote on it.
Sauter, who could we call to get that information and maybe wait on this item?
You know.
You're saying the rollover, it won't be.
Yeah, would you come up, please?
Huh?
So if I can rephrase what I'm understanding that they're asking. If you take all of our previous rollover from previous years and you add that up, what is that number now that we could pull from of this the amount this year that we get plus all the previous rollover? What is that total number currently right now?
Right now, for example, you have August the 31st is the end of the fiscal year. So whatever you have from when you close the books and all, and whatever you have left after you take away the expenses, that's gonna be your rollover
We
amount.
understand what it is, what the policy committee would like to
But
know.
what is that
What's
number?
number? Who can we call?
Well, we
to get
won't
that?
know until the end of the year.
Because it depends on how much is billed between now and then.
Yes.
But as of now, as of today,
Well, it should be encumbered, no?
Is this Is this tracked on a monthly, quarterly basis, or
On a monthly basis.
what was it last month? At the end of?
Well, it depends, because sometimes we don't get the billings the way.
Oh, okay.
See,
So
that
what was
sometimes
it-
that's the
What
problem.
was it in June? What was it in June?
I don't know, I'd have to check, but,
We'll get that number.
yeah, we'll get it to you,
But how do you want me to vote if we don't have a number?
Is it safe to say we got, $1,090,000 that's gonna be rolled over?
That's gonna be rolled over.
We have,
For
in
next year.
reserve, we have an excess.
In other words,
of
can we cover this amount, with whatever monies we're getting now, 550 plus whatever we have?
For the next fiscal year?
I would think so, yes, yes, yes. Yes.
Have to check.
No, see, that's the thing, we
Well,
don't,
can we make it as of October 1st?
What is the deadline, sir?
It was August 1st.
Or can I make these funds available August 1st and not before?
Or can we make our
These-
vote?
these- This is
one would be
for October 1st.
October 1st. They are funds
This is
for
next year's
October.
Because in October 1st, you're gonna get another 550, right?
No, this is including the 550 for next year.
That's what I thought.
well, let me ask you this, can we make it conditional, saying yes, provided that we end up
Yeah.
with at least a minimum of that by October 1st?
Right. And that way
But
we're
but
not,
I'm saying, I think the doctor and I and others, so, I don't wanna have $10,000 left in the account after we pull 190, $1,090,000.
You don't have 10,000. Well, I don't know if you have.
I don't know,
10,000.
that's what I'm
It
saying.
just depends on
That's,
what you
we don't
spend.
know, and how do you
Yeah,
ask me to vote on something when you don't know what it
Make
is?
it conditional, saying if we have it,
But I'm just saying,
Right.
if not, it doesn't work.
yeah.
oh, make it conditional that you're gonna have at least 200 left?
Would you would you be okay? Here's our federal highway representative.
Yeah, would you come up, please? Thank you. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Kirk Favre. I'm the planning rep for Federal Highway Administration here today.
Welcome.
Watching your meeting and observing and taking some notes.
Yeah, hopefully this won't discourage you.
Well, we wanna be very.
I want to make it
prudent with your
clear
money.
that we need to get the UPWPs approved by October 1st. And so if we don't get our approved UPWP in today with our policy vote, then we may be delaying that October 1st
Well,
date.
if it's by October 1st, we have one more meeting.
Well, our goal is to get all the UPWPs approved within the state of Texas by October 1st. So the end of September, we have those letters written, they're out the
We're in
door.
August, right?
And our fiscal year begins October 1st to September 30th. But that's basically what our goal is.
So you
to
need
get-
the lead time before you get to October 1st.
Right, we can't just wait until September 30th and say, here,
Right.
approve this.
So that we don't
used to
have
get-
three
used to get a
layers
month.
of bureaucracies trying to get everything ready at the last minute for
Right.
October 1st.
Right, we used to get 30 days minimum to review the document before we approve. So that's why we're trying to push to get the UPWP approved, hopefully today.
So you do recognize that we're just trying to be as fiscally responsible
Right,
as possible?
I agree. I mean, there is some questions about how much rollover you have, and I think that's a valid question, a very valid question. How much rollover that you built up over the years?
And
I don't have that number in front of me. I think Sarah would be the person.
And that rollover is something that we can say is stable, so they say, but we're not sure. So this money's been rolled over, but we don't have it in our possession, nor is it encumbered. We don't.
It's been rolled over for several years, but there's no guarantee that rollover is going to be available if you keep on rolling it over, and it's becoming more and more and more. The state, the TPMP and headquarters of TxDOT may decide to use that money for another purpose.
The state likes MPOs that are moving.
So,
Right.
so if
We'd like to get all of it spent,
so
and then
that's
that
what we
way you
want.
keep replenishing it every year.
So
So you get,
I
what?
think challenge would be for Mr. Snyder that these monthly invoices are tracked on monthly and we're tracking where we're at. So we come to this point and we know exactly where we're at.
That's correct. And one more bit of information, we have that information, Sauter tracks it, we track it as well. We don't have that right now at this meeting, but the draft I was working from of the initial UPWP, the initial work plan, we were looking to spend around 1.2 million. And I brought that down from what was originally being planned to spend. And that I'm assuming is a number that had been checked, that would be our rollover amount plus what the disbursement we would get. And I'm asking for less than that. I shrunk it down by 150,000.
And if 2 to 3 months from now, we end up with, different numbers, we can adjust accordingly. We can be versatile in that. And I'd like to point out that even if you, were to ask right now what your district priority funds are, upstairs on the second floor, finance department can only give you a balance as of about 30 days ago. There's a bit of a lag time waiting for, invoicing POs, et cetera, to roll in to give you that up to date. And by the time you get that up to date, well, then another
But you should know how
several
many
days have already
outstanding POs you have.
gone by.
Martinez?
I just want to make sure I heard this correctly, because this is going to determine this. You said the faster we spend it, the more they fill it up?
Yeah.
Well,
Per
what we
year.
do is every year we apportion about the same amount of funds every year, based on your population, based on the size of your impost, based on whether or not you're non-attainment or attainment status. So you're going to be, I want to say, guaranteed that money every year. So as long as we got a highway bill, we have a reauthorization bill, that money is guaranteed money every year.
And if you see us being more aggressive, you'll consider us for more, or is it
Well,
always the same amount?
we would limit you to the amount that's apportioned to you. We would limit that. If you need additional money, there are SPR Part 1 funds that you can apply for, and those are going through TP&P systems planning to go after those additional funds, if you need them. So there are additional funds available. There are SPR, State Planning and Research, Part 1 funds.
Of course, you would need staff on board to help you get those funds to make
Got it.
these
It's
grants.
competitively based.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd
Is
have to
there-
compete for it.
Is there a process to amend this UTPW agreement?
Yes.
Yeah.
You
There is,
can- you
there
can
is,
amend
there
it.
is a process to amend it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can amend your UPWP at any time after it's been approved, adopted. So if you decide that you want to take a study out, move a study in, things like that administratively, we can do that.
So the
We'll
fact
work
that we
with you
can
to make that
amend.
happen.
We can
You can amend
increase,
it at any time.
we can increase,
And decrease.
No.
I don't know about increase, but I mean, you can take away.
No, you can't increase? So just say we come up with another project, we
Well,
found out there's,
If you find out there's additional funding available through the rollover
Yes,
or so forth, we'll agree with that.
Okay.
We can amend it on the confinement of what we've been allocated.
Yeah, we're fiscally constrained, we're
Yeah.
fiscally constrained to what we have, and that's based on the amount that you're
No, I think we
allocated.
heard enough. Thank you. Yeah, call for the question.
no, call the
No?
public.
Yeah, okay, it's a public hearing. Anyone wishing?
Mayor, Mr. Gaylor's only said it 3
I
times
know,
now.
but I'm so anxious just to move on. Yeah, again, public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak for or against? For or against? For or against, we have 10 days, is it?
No, this is it.
This is it?
Motion to close, approve and adopt.
Second.
Okay, as presented and seconded, discussion,
It'll take 15 minutes.
not heard? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against say no. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. It was a hearty discussion there. C, a discussion with possible action on the sweeping and moving contract services overseen by TxDOT. Councilman Allgill,
Yeah, so we've all, I think, a lot of us, at least council members, have been getting, complaints about the mowing not having, not occurring, as per the contract with TxDOT, and I was, hoping that, TxDOT might shed a little bit of light on, the street sweeping and the mowing of the sides of the right of way. I know I've got two big cracks on my windshield that go from like the top all the way to the bottom. They're rather spectacular. But anyway, if anybody can shed some light on what's going on with that.
Sure, Councilman Margaret, I would be happy to address that, but, I would like to share some good news before we go on your topic, if that's okay.
Oh, sure, yeah, please, by all means.
always room for good
How
news.
about some good news now that
Let's
we
take
sat
good
here
news first.
and Had discussions. So recently what happened is, the next Thursday of this month, on the 29th, the Transportation Commission, which governs our UTP funding for the entire state, will be approving the 10-year UTP plan for the entire state. And we are very fortunate, this year. What happened is, with the good help of the mayor here and Judge Stano and a lot of these council folks, were able to work toward it. And we were able to allocate additional funds for the widening of US 59. We were able to allocate the remaining funding for the Loop 20 project, from International all the way down to US 59. On top of that, we were able to get additional funding for 2 additional direct connectors at the Shiloh interchange. And on top of that, we were able to get the much needed funding for the Union Oil project on I-35, and grand total about $220 million of additional money coming to us. Now, bear in mind, it still has to get approved next Thursday,
No,
which,
I can let it out.
Thank you for your hard work.
It's gonna happen,
Yeah.
so it's great news for the city of Laredo. 220 million additional funds that we're bringing to the city. We're gonna hit it fast, we're gonna hit it hard, and pretty soon you're gonna see the people complaining about the traffic controls, but we're gonna try to get it as best we can, get in and get out, and maneuver people through these projects. So it's great news for the city of Laredo. And
Hats off
thank
to you,
you,
sir.
Mayor, for your efforts. I know you were
It's
instrumental in
fantastic
it.
news, Mr. Salazar. Thank you so much on
Thank you
behalf
so much,
of this
man. I
commission,
appreciate
of course, our city. But yeah, the credit goes to you, to a lot of people that have been, pushing for these projects. The fact that we have people in committees here in Austin. We've been, basically participating in engaging commissioners and other people that know our needs, and if they didn't know them before, now they do, and I think they've recognized, I can finally say we've arrived based on the monies now being awarded. I think they do recognize our city, our port as a
Vital
huge,
part.
vital part to the Texas economy and of course our nation. So thank you, thank you again. There's so many people. Jerry Schwebel deserves a lot of credit too, because he's been at it for years and years, participating in these transportation committees. Rolly Ortiz is not here, but he also deserves a lot of credit, and all the other people that have participated in committees, because that's where it's at. Plus the MPO and the exchanges that we have here, and of course the word carries to Austin and other places. So hopefully this is just the beginning. We have so many other needs, but it's a huge endeavor that now has met satisfaction in terms of monies from Austin. And this is something we've been praying for. Yes, sir.
David, you mentioned that it was next week, or is it this Thursday?
Next week.
Next Thursday.
Oh, good, I'm glad, because I was going this Thursday.
I just have a quick congratulations to all of us. It's fantastic news. Are any of these monies allocated for sweeping or mowing?
Unfortunately,
Great question.
unfortunately, the answer is no. It's just gonna be a flat out no, but.
Before we leave that subject, so, going, that Loop 20 or I-69 corridor, so in essence, you can tell the public that once it's approved, we're getting the access roads, we're getting everything, correct?
It's gonna be interstate standards from, international.
Right-of-ways, everything.
5 interchanges, interstate standards, frontage roads, all the way to US 59. And basically carrying on I-69 that we left off on the north portion of town.
So in essence, we're covering Shiloh, we're covering University, is it?
We're gonna cover Shiloh, University,
Del Mar,
Jackman, Del Mar, and
University.
And Airport.
Airport.
Yeah, and we're thinking within 4 or 5 years, do you think?
I knew that was coming up, so here's
6 years to terminate.
No. Here's where we're going. So we were working on the, because we got development authority, we were working on designs of the plans, but we have various contractors, consultants doing various portions of it. So what staff is going through right now is how we can best face this work and getting the consultants together so the plans can match up. Because we are gonna be doing a lot of construction. It is gonna be a little bit difficult. We don't really wanna get it all going at the same time because we still gotta work our traffic through there. But right now, currently, staff is getting together. They're working with the consultants that are doing the designs, what we're gonna do outside, inside, and of course, there's always right-of-way acquisition that we're working on. So we'll come back at a later time with definite dates once we find out how we're gonna get it done.
Okay, now these monies are over and above the monies already committed by TxDOT, say on the Shiloh,
This is above and beyond. This is an additional $220 million worth of projects.
But you need the other 100 million that we have already, right?
We have all the money that we need for Loop 20 project.
Because we had, what, 105 or something? So
Yes, sir.
you're gonna use all of it.
That is correct.
Yeah, but you all had committed also already, I think it's funded, there's I-35 improvements.
That is correct.
And if I recall,
So
I think that's another 200 million or so.
There was a lot of, we're currently working on a development plan for milepost 7, that the project that's coming up for Shiloh interchange and the railroad, all the way up to milepost 28. We have development authority. It is not all completely funded, but we did want to fund the Uniroll interchange, which is really growing right now with the Majestic coming in. So a top priority was getting an additional $45 million to wrap up that project, which we were lacking. So this money here is going to be allocated for that area.
Okay, so we'll be lacking two connectors there in the interchange of 35 and I-69, correct?
That is correct.
We'll have all the connectors except two.
Okay. Currently, we're working on number 4. With this additional money, we'll be able to put 2 more in. I think it's direct connector 6 and 8. Is that correct, Roberto?
Right now what we're doing is direct connector number 3, which is south on 35.
east to Loop 20, and the other one is if you're driving from the World Trade Bridge, going east on Loop 20 to South 35. We'll be missing two direct connectors, which is if you're going on Loop 20, going towards the bridge, going west to go north on 35, and if you're going 35 north and you exit to make a right to Loop 20. And if I may ask a quick question, this will trigger now a match from the city, is that correct?
No, the match for the city on the Loop 20 project was for the right-of-way acquisition, which we already set out and agreed.
Yeah, but the city needs to pay you, no? I thought it was 4.5 million.
Only if it's off-system. For the Loop 20, the right-of-way, yes, that is correct. We signed off on the right-of-way acquisition, but the question was construction dollars. If it's on-system, we pay for it 100%. If it's off-system, you have to match it.
So here, this is all
On-system, so you don't have to match it.
on these monies, but the money that comes in for the right-of-way acquisition is a total of how much?
That is a different basket of money that, I know it's hard to explain, but it's different from the construction dollars. And the match has been set aside, and I believe it's 4.5, maybe $5 million that we set aside.
That's the 2%, is that?
Yes, it was actually a quite, one of the things that my predecessor did before he left the office was to get that where we signed off with the city, where no matter what the right-of-way comes in and now becomes
yeah,
a
we had
higher or
that.
less, you're locked in on that rate. So that was a great thing that Mr.
I hate to be the Open Meetings Act party pooper, but we are just a little bit
We're so excited.
off topic, and it's great news, and I tip my hat to you, sir.
No
Thank you.
action though.
Thank you.
So
back to your question.
back to the question, yeah.
So here's what it is. Unfortunately, Mr. Snyman and myself, I had asked the policy committee to strike this item from the agenda based on the mere fact that the MPO is created for categories 2 and 7, which are MPO dollars, federal dollars. And unfortunately, the way TxDOT is set up, our maintenance dollars when it comes to sweeping, mowing, litter pickup, whatever it is, it comes from a different basket, and it's not a policy that TxDOT put in place, it's by legislature. But I will address the concern that Mr. Auger brought to the table. So basically what happens is we have approximately about $15 million a year that the TxDOT can utilize for maintenance of roadways. When I say maintenance, I mean litter, sweeping, landscaping, mowing. Okay, out of those $15 million. So there's categories within the state system, there are classifications 1 through 5 that we can use federal dollars. We can use MPO dollars. There's classification 6 roadways. There are FM roadways that are less traveled that we cannot utilize federal dollars. So that all comes from state funds. This basket of $15 million that I have to maintain the entire district, which encompasses 8 counties, includes roadways that are not on the classification 1 through 5. Okay. Bottom line, out of those $15 million, I have to address some construction projects that I cannot address with federal dollars. Off that $15 million, I take away $9 million. That leaves me with $6 million to allocate to the 8 counties that I have to take care of. Currently in fiscal year 19, for Webb County and the city of Laredo, we're currently allocated $1.4 million. That includes litter, sweeping, landscaping, and mowing. That's basically over 10% of the $15 million. We do our best to balance out what we can and can't do. There is a current MMA in place signed in 1996, which allocates that TxDOT will maintain interstate highways when it comes to litter, sweeping, mowing, litter pickup, and debris. Anything outside of an interstate or non-controlled access is a responsibility of the city, and we will assist when we can. We have been assisting with the $1.4 million currently, but at this point, I know the concern is I-35. Currently, we do have a contract where we are sweeping once a week. I will be happy to increase that to twice a week if necessary, but at the same time, I would ask that some of these other roadways that we're currently doing, such as Per 400, US 83, US 59, US 359, if we could get assistance from the city to maintain those as well. Or we can leave it as is and we can balance out and continue what we're doing and try to do the best we can with what we got. I don't know if that answered your question or not.
I suppose, I guess, what I'm being told by our city staff is that we, I don't know why I remember the dollar amount of $220,000 being in the mix there, that somehow y'all had allocated that for, or that y'all are in receipt of that for purposes of sweeping and mowing. And recently there was some sort of discussions with TxDOT, where TxDOT, y'all were saying, look, we've been doing it in the past, but city, we need you to do it. And so the question was, well, then why, receive the money to do it, and not perform the work, or alternatively, then pass the money on to the city, and the city can allocate the funds for purposes of the mowing and the sweeping. I may not have all of that dialed in correctly, so forgive me if I'm misstating anything, but perhaps you can clarify the money and how, and the work and how that's supposed to get distributed.
Yeah. I think currently right now, we are assisting the city the best we can. We know we're in a partnership. And currently right now our sweeping contracts are $685,000 just within the city of Laredo a year. And that's once or twice a month that we're sweeping within the city of Laredo. $685,000, that's a tall order. That's just for sweeping. If you're alluding to the Interstate 35 sweeping contract, $300,000 contract, let me give you some numbers, some rough numbers. My predecessors in the past had a 5-year contract that has soon expired. It's already been expired. And we were paying the city $300,000 to sweep from milepost 0 to milepost 7. $300,000. At that point, I was sweeping the entire city of Laredo when that decision was made for about $286,000. So from a business standpoint, from a business sense, it didn't make sense for me to continue sweeping, paying $300,000 to sweep 7 miles when I was sweeping the rest of the city for $286,000. On top of that, because of the current MMA in place, the full responsibility of Interstate 35 rests within TxDOT itself, and that's what I wanted to do because it is a non-control access, and we took that back over. If it continues to be an issue, if the once a week is not enough, like I said, we'll be happy to up that rate, but at the same time, we'll probably need assistance on the other systems.
Is there no responsibility on the part of TxDOT to help with 83 and all those?
The current contract in place solely places it within the city of Laredo, and it says that TxDOT can assist when needed or when necessary, and that's what we're trying to do, when necessary. When available, when we can do it.
Who dictates what is necessary?
Well, we can assist. Let me read the proper language for you so we don't get it convoluted here. I think the proper language.
But don't we begin with the premise of, I-35 belongs to the state, correct? And it's up to the state to maintain it and keep it safe and clean. Is that the proper premise to begin with?
Mayor, it belongs to me, but if you want to assist at any time, I'd be more than happy to help you. We're not going to tell you no.
No, and I think it boils down to that, I guess. If it belongs to the state, but then I hear that you're limited by dollars, so it's your responsibility, but yet there's not enough dollars to meet that responsibility. That's what I hear. And I don't know if that's a legal question or.
And certainly, we're working this in partnership with the city. We're willing to help. But please understand that I do have a balancing act.
No.
I have to cover 8 counties with.
And believe me, with the monies that you're bringing down, I mean,
we're happy. So basically, what the contract says when it comes to non-control access highways, which is your US 83, your 359, your 59, is that we are to assist in mowing and litter pickup. We are to assist in sweeping and otherwise cleaning the pavement, and we are to assist in snow and ice control, which we don't have here. So basically, we're here to assist. We have been assisting. I think we do a fine job of balancing act, and we try to get as much as we can. But at this point, I don't know if you have any questions, Mr. Algate.
Well, just, the reoccurring complaints, it's interesting, there's some actually city personnel that are watching this meeting take place right now, and so my phone is like blowing up as we speak. And they suggested that perhaps TxDOT take a good close look at I-35 right now, and that I-35 remains this hazard because of the debris that's on it, and it's an on system. Clearly it's an interstate. It is you know, as we say, what is Caesar's, and this highway belongs to Caesar, and Caesar should be keeping it clean, because it is our constituents that give us the feedback as it relates to just, you know, there's a lot of oil field traffic going. I mean, maybe once we dial in the Gateway of the Americas and we can start diverting that traffic, not into our downtown, but to other necks of the woods, we won't have those problems the way we have them right now. But right now, they remain they remain big problems. I know that, I think we've been assisting with, speaking of Gateway of the Americas, I think we've been assisting with all
I think it's coming.
the mowing and maintenance there, and that's been, you know, and I'm not saying this is your fault, but it's been, you know, grossly disregarded by TxDOT over the years, and it you know, it looks the way it looks because no one's been putting any attention to it, and so
But wasn't that donated to the city now?
well, yes and no, and there's some strings attached, and we can get into that, but there's certainly room for increased mowing and sweeping. The litter seems to be okay, under control, but the mowing and the
Can I
sweeping.
suggest maybe a meeting,
Yeah.
because this is
Yeah,
ongoing, you know, maybe
yeah.
a meeting between management and
Again,
some of us.
again, Mayor, I appreciate his comments and concerns, and we can sit down and visit with it, but again, as far as the MPO being a platform for this type of discussion, since we can't allocate MPO dollars to it, I think there maybe a meeting besides the MPO would be good for us. I'd be happy to sit down and visit with the city. Perhaps we can step up the Interstate 35.
Mr. Steinman, could you coordinate that and see if we can have a
And
meeting
maybe
with
we can get
management
assistance on some of the lower,
TxDOT?
other highways, and we can find a way to get this done. One last note, I want to add that the last municipal maintenance agreement that was signed by the city of Laredo was 1996. So I'll be happy to give Mr. Snyman the current MMA to take a look at and possible for future signature. So we can get everything in a row. That's it.
Is that okay?
Well, I guess then, is what okay, I'm sorry, what was the question?
Yeah, we won't be able to resolve it now with, you know, he's telling us basically that,
This isn't the platform.
yeah, and his hands are tied in a way, due to budget constraints on his end. But I think there's a legal issue there that we need to settle, but maybe we should do that in a private meeting.
Okay, well then, that's fine. I mean, I was gonna make a motion to, you know, direct whatever funds are available, to, be able to have TxDOT fulfill their responsibilities. But what we can do is, let's just have this, if we will, have this agenda item come back for the next MPO agenda. And that way we can have some discussions and kind of, take a look at that MMA and figure out what we're gonna do, mowing forward.
Okay, well, yeah, just to see if there's any progress. Okay, but yeah, in essence, Metro Salazar is saying that is that an MPO? You know, is it, or isn't that an MPO agenda?
I firmly believe that the MPO dollars that the MPO has to deal with are, of course, federal highway dollars from CAT 7 and CAT 2 that cannot be appropriated for the maintenance of highways due to legislature and the way that the funds are allocated through TxDOT. Again, short of us allocating these funds, we cannot do it. We just cannot do that.
Okay, maybe at that
All right,
meeting. we can
and I
clarify
understand that, but, you know, we're now the biggest port in the United States. And, we are the, you know, well, no, I think we're actually like the biggest port. I mean,
We were, I think.
oh, that was just a short time period there. Okay, so we're number 2. But we're the biggest inland port, and we're the trucking capital of the world. And the amount of commercial vehicle traffic that is on our roads is a unique situation, and it's a great problem I'm sure many other cities would love to have. We have it, and there is an inordinate amount of road debris and that comes with being this big port. And so it's a TxDOT responsibility, and it requires a TxDOT fix. And so I believe it's Harvey Keitel in Pulp Fiction. Pretty please, and I'll just stop right there because I can't say what the rest of you said at a public meeting, but pretty please help us get this roadway cleaned, and we'll have this on the next agenda. We can see what we worked out between now and then.
Okay.
Item D, Mr. Mayor?
Okay, we'll move on. Yeah, D, discuss possible action, IH-35 Man Road exit ramp accidents. Yes, again, Councilmember Alger.
Yes, I think we all got the text yesterday at 2:15 p.m. From our fire chief, Chief Landine, responded to multi-vehicle motor vehicle accident at the 5300 block of IH-35 at 1 p.m. Found 11 patients, including one dead on scene. Female front passenger was ejected, unrestrained, 57-year-old male, unconscious, unrestrained, taken to Doctors Hospital. 4 other occupants, including 2 kids of the same vehicle who were restrained and taken to LMC for evaluation. Second vehicle had 2 patients, minor injuries, taken to doctors. Third vehicle, 1 patient rolled over, taken to doctors. And then, I mean, it's just reoccurring. Like that exit ramp and that commingling, the way the traffic comes together on, and I loosely define it, I guess, as the Man Road exit ramp. But like, I have a constituent that at least once a month blows up my phone with City of Laredo, what are you going to do about this very dangerous situation on I-35 and the Man Road exit? And the excuse of, oh, it's a tech stop problem is no longer cutting it for me, much less this constituent. And so I don't know how many more people need to die or get hurt or end up in that ditch for us to rethink how we manage traffic there. But we need to do something other than just looking the other way. And so I don't know if we have anyone here from TxDOT who can speak to any proposed solutions to this problem. Anyone?
No, I'll go ahead and address that. So I was on site at the accident, and the incident actually was on 35. We have done studies and we have accident reports on the man exit, but it's on the downside. This accident, unfortunate as it was, and it's sad to say that some people did lose their life, it was before you get to the exit ramp. It was on the main lanes. It was not due because of the exit ramp or the area that we're looking at concern. It's unfortunate. But being as it is,
but there are other
I-35
accidents
Man
that
Road,
do take place there.
Man Road exit, where the street de la Rosa, what is this, Esperanza?
Esperanza.
When we did an accident report, the majority of the incidents are happening at Esperanza and the off-ramp once they're completely off at 35, trying to make that right turn into Esperanza Street, cutting across traffic. We've looked at some different scenarios of trying to continue with the dividers up along, but then you run into the issue where you're shoving the problem up the road because there's people trying to get into that turnaround. We have looked at options of making Esperanza a right out only and eliminating the turn in, which seems to be a viable solution. Before I move forward that option, I would like to have division come down and see if they can see something that I can't see or we can't see, and perhaps come up with a better solution. But as it is right now, what looks very favorable in that area is to eliminate the right turn in and only have a right turn out, which will alleviate the problem. I do want to get the opportunity to visit with administration, with division, and see if there's something else that we can do to help that issue.
And I know it applies to your district, Doctor, or is it?
Well, no, it's 5, but it's a city problem.
It's 7.
It's 7.
Okay.
It's a city problem. I mean,
So we are aware of that intersection. We do have a report where the accidents are happening right there at the Esperanza. If you can kind of picture, they're just getting off the ramp and they're making that right turn, cutting across
That makes
traffic.
sense. I mean, we have no choice.
So the reason, we have looked at providing delineators, where as soon as they come off the ramp, they have to stay there where they can't make the right turn. But then you run into a situation where the people coming on the frontage road wanting to get into the turnaround, so you're kind of pushing the problem up further.
but what if you leave, I'm just gonna throw it out there, what if you leave the ramp alone, but instead of putting the concrete barriers on the ramp when you go north, you put a divider so that they have to turn right, that far right lane has to turn right, that way you can't go all the way across. In other words, you put the divider on the
Access road?
access road, so then you can't turn right there.
You can't turn right, but then you're gonna travel straight, and the people that are coming from the mall wanting to take a left on Man and go underneath. As soon as they get out of that divider, they're gonna cut
But
across.
you're taking traffic from the access road because all of a sudden, the right lane is only going to be right turn.
So we can look at that. Again, I think the most favorable solution right now, Mr. Martinez, is to eliminate that right turn into that Esperanza Street and just have it an exit. Just give me the opportunity to bring the vision in, and we'll come back with that solution.
Can you have something for us next time?
We'll have something next week.
Flow traffic.
I don't feel the need to bring it to the MPO, but I can certainly keep Mr. Algate and Mr. Martinez
Would
away.
you think the city council meeting be better for that?
We can probably take care of it. If you need me to come to city council, I can do that, but I prefer just to take care of it and eliminate the situation.
Yeah, but I think the people need to know.
They need to hear what we're trying to work on.
Yeah.
That's it. It's just for public awareness.
No problem, we can do that.
Okay then.
So the suggestion is
But Mr.
for
Algate,
the next
we are
council
working
meeting?
on it.
Okay,
We are working on it. We know we have a concern there. Just trying to find the best solution that's gonna help everybody is what we're looking for right now.
okay, so then just a presentation, with, probably no action, but a presentation, because it's not within our jurisdiction, right? It's so,
On
so just a
possible solutions, yeah.
presentation and possible solutions by TxDOT with regard to this particular area.
Okay, next item, discussion with possible action on the River Road project. Yeah, Mayor Sands, we did communicate with Mr. Albert Mueller, and I have Mr. Joe Medina, who's been kind of spearheading this from this standpoint of the landowners. Would you come up, please, Mr. Medina? And I know, council member, also, this is your, part of the neck of the woods there.
Yes, sir.
And please chime in. Yeah, I think Mr. Mueller is very much in favor of working, but he does have some questions that he wanted to ask, and maybe, yeah, this is the preliminary platform here, I guess, where we can start answering some of these, and I think it'll be helpful for all of us. First of all, he says, does the city have the money? And the answer is no, but we can if we plan accordingly. And please correct me if you think I'm off. He says, how wide will the road be? It should be at least 4 lanes, he says, and I think he's, ideally, I think, were we contemplating that 4 lanes, Mr. Medina? I know you had a schematic or some sort of video.
I do have the video in case anybody wants to see it or wants a copy. And my name is Joe Medina, and I'm sorry the last time I was here and I wasn't really prepared for anything.
No problem.
I'm not prepared today either, but I just want to bring up to speed that I did meet with Mr. Algate and I met with the mayor. After I had several discussions with Mr. Albert Mueller, which has always been negative about moving forth on this road, and through several text messages that we had, he said he's on board 100%. I did contact IBOC, his Chuy Ruiz, who owns the property owner, Mr. High, and everybody's willing to give us a letter of donation, including Emerald, which I'm part of. The only thing I don't have anything is going past Emerald because I really don't know where the proposed road's gonna be, so I could find out who would be back into Picker Road. And it's just a matter of finding out what the road would actually go. And I'll have it
Well, let me ask you
proposed.
this, once we answer these questions, I think Mr. Mueller is, would be inclined to fully, participate.
Yes, in fact, he's the one that brought it up about 4 lanes, because he
Yeah,
doesn't know, so.
What was the proposed width of the right-of-way for purposes of donation?
Well, I think the one discussion we had in the past is like the city said, well, let's do a 4-lane, but we'll only develop 2, and as time progresses, we'll do the 4th. My suggestion would be is to go for 100-foot right-of-way.
And then we've got the room for alternative
For the future, whatever you wanna
transportation,
do, yeah.
turning lanes.
We can accommodate 4 lanes if need be.
Yeah,
Okay, so-
maybe bicycle trail on the side, because it is very pretty property out there, so.
So
think we'll be
potentially we
used.
could, so we can answer yes if all the landowners are willing, and I think
Yes.
based on what you've seen and heard, that's doable.
Did he
So-
indicate whether he would give us a something in writing saying that he's willing to donate?
I believe we can get that. I think his biggest concern is where's the money gonna be coming from to do this road? Is this something that's just gonna be stated in paper and it's never gonna happen? I think
And the question would
what
go
his
to
concern was.
Mr. Steidman, or I guess, with TxDOT, is there something where TxDOT could help, based on, I guess, any of the categories that you all manage?
As far as the As far as the off-system roadway, right now, we're currently under the program, we're not taking anything into the system. There is a turn-back program where we could possibly take on a project, take on additional miles, take on additional roadway, but it'd be a swap for some additional lanes.
What about the fact that the city essentially through this river road is addressing TxDOT's, and I'm not directing this at you, but just, holistically as a bureaucracy, since we're taking on TxDOT's failure to fully develop 1472 by adding extra capacity off system, we're freeing up 1472 by taking vehicles off of it and giving them a separate ingress and egress, if you will. There's a term for that, like a parallel, but you call it a relief route, I think is the term. Are there any funds out there for off-system relief routes that help decongest on-system roads controlled by TxDOT?
The only mechanism that we have available right now would be NPO dollars. Your Cat 7, Cat 2, that could be utilized off-system. If the NPO does choose that in the future they want to take some of these dollars and allocate them to that off-system, it certainly could be done that way. But as far as TxDOT, state dollars, or federal dollars being utilized to off-system roadway, currently we do not have anything available.
Even for relief routes, because of the impact that they would have on TxDOT on-system routes?
Relief routes would be something that has also always been discussed, but at the current time, a relief route would be a swap type of program where we'll take on additional miles, like I mentioned earlier, and we'll turn back a couple of miles back to the city to maintain.
Yeah, let me ask you this. I know the MPO funds that you mentioned are committed and primarily, if my memory serves me correct.
HR.
It's at Ruthinger, pero that's in the next 4 years, I think. 4 or 5 years, I think will be done, and this project's gonna take at least that long to get done.
Right.
So maybe
It's something we could program over time.
And of course, here, you all would have to decide, but we need we need plans, and do we have any?
No, the city does have on their, I guess on the long-term plans, the road actually goes all the way to past the golf course, and it's basically between the river and the mines road. So I've only been working up to the Pico Road. By the way, that's something that maybe somebody has to start looking into. Pico Road. It's continuing to be very heavily trafficked, and since this doesn't belong to the city, and I don't think the county is involved in it, and it's going to be a problem. And I'm mentioning this because we're right close to Pico Road, and if we ever start developing, city gonna ask me to pave a road, and I think that Pico Road is something that everybody has to start addressing also.
Okay, so how do we give this a continuation? How do we continue giving it life here?
All I can do is letters, that people donate the land.
My understanding is we're in the process of updating our project list that future funding could apply to, and the River Road project is going to be on that list that we're updating. So in the future, we can appropriate NPO dollars towards it because it'll be on the list. We're also, starting this fall, we're going to be having public meetings to update our thoroughfare plan for the city, so that from the city side, we have it as a part of our plan, and we maybe dial it in a little better and get some input from the public. And so those are two opopportunities where
so we start
we're
there then.
planning for the future and looking at the possibility of it.
And the fact now that we do have Mr. Mueller, on board, so to speak, of course, these questions that he's asking are common questions that we all need to know answers to. Yes, sir.
No, I just want to, what's the width of a major thoroughfare? So the McPherson 4 lanes with a center turning lane? I thought it was 120, but.
What's each lane?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Ramon Chavez, city engineer. You'll be looking at approximately between 100 and 120 foot right of way, basically, to have the 4 lanes, the turning lane, sidewalks, bike lanes, etc.
If we're gonna do it, we might as well ask for 120.
Yes, I'm saying might as well make it a major thoroughfare because they're gonna want access to their property, so that you need the turning lane. So that's what I would ask. And then I guess you need to see, because of the terrain there, how many bridges, culverts you're gonna have, because that's pretty wild country. Beautiful, but wild.
He had another question here, but I think it's more on his private, yeah.
And I was just gonna say also, if I wanted to add to that, is, unfortunately, the RMA is still headless, but, this is something, again, we could get them working on environmental and getting these plans ready to where, when the pot of money does come available, or they wanna do it,
Right. There was a question here, it says, will the city help with paving La Bota backway from Riverbank Road to Muller Memorial Boulevard for private use by La Bota landowners only? Well, gets a little more, but I guess we'll address that when the time comes, and I don't know whether that's a condition to
the
him,
donation
yeah.
exchange.
Right.
You might wanna go back and ask how far it is.
Right.
Because
So anyway, I guess
maybe
we
it
need
costs you more than the donation.
do you need some authority at some point, Mr. Seidman, or how's that? First we start with the city and then bring it to the MPO if it need be, or?
As far as doing progress on this?
Yeah, right. Where do we go next? Is it city council or is it?
For the MPO, this item is gonna be on our update.
Long-range survey.
Okay,
Long-range survey
but to
plan.
move it forward, we need a traffic director here, so to speak. So, what's the next step? City council to get, to get it as part of our list of projects for the future?
Mr. Mayor, if I may?
Sure, go ahead.
So I think we have two parallel things that we're working on. One is the city's long-range thoroughfare plan, which is something that I think they're already gonna start on, and so that will activate that process. And then from our end, we just have to come up with some funds through whatever category. In other words, we have to say that we are willing to appropriate a certain amount of MPO dollars for this project, and then we can start prioritizing that as well. So it's really just on us to look at the list of projects that we have and see if anything can be altered temporarily, or anything, shift anything over temporarily to make that happen.
And I like your idea too. I think the RMA could possibly, they get funds
And so-
directly, I guess, for the county.
And I think that's the way these things are supposed to work, right, Mayor? I mean, we're supposed to use the Regional Mobility Authority as well as the MPO and Planning Department as well as City Council all collaborate together so we can move these things forward. We're currently trying to do that with some other projects as well that we've already pushed towards the RMA. I think we did that with Los Presidentes. We're doing other projects as well that we're looking at, and I think the MPO is the appropriate place to have that. But we do need to allocate resources towards it. It doesn't happen, I mean, we can wish it, but if we don't have any monies that we then put towards it, TxDOT can't really help us, or nobody can help us match it. And we need some money first, and then TxDOT will come in and help us with that. Is that an accurate statement?
Okay, yeah, we'll just have it on a monthly basis and see what progress we've made. Okay. Moving on to the next item is a discussion with possible action on the Chad Ruthinger.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor.
Good afternoon, sir.
Mr. Chairman and committee members, Luis Perez Garcia, Webb County Engineer for the record. Along with me today is Mr. Gustavo Lopez, who is the project manager for our consultant on this project. He has a short presentation that he would like to present to you, and we can answer questions during or after the presentation.
Okay, this will cover the entire length, the Chad and the Ruthinger.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, and I have a 5-minute presentation that maybe can bring up some of the ideas that you need to look at. I believe I can make this available to you through the, okay, very good. So first of all, let me just mention that this project is about an 8.2-mile project from 1472 Mines Road to I-35. However, for matters of economics and construction-wise, it's broken in two pieces. Phase 1, which is from FM 1472 to Bellway Parkway, and then phase 1, I'm sorry, and phase 2 will be from Bellway Parkway to I-35 frontage road. Now, the funding for that project comes also in two pieces: $30 million from TxDOT, MPO money, category 7, for the first phase, and about $20 million for the second phase. Total, and this phases, phase 1 and phase 2, basically, is to build the frontage road as an overweight corridor, fully concrete, very hefty section that will carry on the vehicles, and hopefully alleviate some of the congestion problems also in 1472. But the phase one right now is by TxDOT is the letting date that they have identified is 2021.
That's construction.
That's construction, yes. Now, currently, what we're doing, we're developing the advanced planning phase, which is basically developing the environmental document and the schematics. We are developing two schematics, one for the phase one, and the second one is for the ultimate schematic, including the ultimate future overpasses and right-of-way and everything that is needed. But for phase one and two, we need to have basically the land donated that will encompass and encumber basically everything that is needed for the ultimate facility. And right now, as we speak, we're probably pretty much ready to submit a 60%. And we're on the advanced planning portion, which means the schematic and the environmental documents. So we are trying to finish or move this project. Keep in mind that we started back in February, and we had a public meeting in July. But right now, we're getting ready to submit a very important milestone, which is a 60% schematic and environmental document for TxDOT's review, and also move forward to try to finish within this year, hopefully by November or December. At the end of the advanced planning development, of course, the next phase before construction is the development of the full PS&E set of plans. As you can see on the screen, basically the yellow is the phase one, which is about 5 mile length out of the 8.2, and the white one is the Ruthinger portion, which is basically about 3.2 miles. Now, we are at the schematic design level, and we hopefully, like I mentioned, we need to try to finish by December of this year. The phase one and two basically will be the two frontage roads. That will give the needed access to the development, that adjacent development that is being looked at, and also will give the mobility, an additional mobility corridor between 1472 and I-35. The ultimate phase, of course, it will include, it can be built all the way to about a 6-lane main lane, 2 lanes on these frontage roads, and it will have, as a minimum, 3 overpasses that will, and 3 hydrological bridges that are needed because of the San Bernardino and the Cuervo Creeks. So that is basically where we're at. This is the right-of-way that we're trying to acquire. Donated for this project is basically from 350 feet minimum to 500 feet at the overpasses. Typically, it'll be ranging between 350 and 400 as a typical right-of-way needed. And of course, since it's a brand new location, there's no development yet. TxDOT will build the intersections, and we'll build it all the way to the corner clips, and then the development will take on from there on. But basically, this is what it would look like for the ultimate section. And phase one would be basically just the frontage roads. That's just an example of what it would look like. But it will have all the necessary elements to sustain an overweight trucks, carrying all for 20 years plus. And it will have the proper radii needed for the trucks and the accessibility to the adjacent land. Of course, this is a kind of hilly terrain, so we have to deal also with the geotechnical portion of it, make sure that the proper and safe requirements and specifications by TxDOT are carried on during this project.
Okay, yeah, one question. Title, who would own the right-of-way?
The right-of-way will be donated for under TxDOT's.
So TxDOT would own the right-of-way?
Fee simple title.
Well, when you say fee simple, is everything, the surface?
Everything all the way to the corner clips at the intersections. But
okay,
as far
who would own it? TxDOT?
Yeah, TechStop will be the owner of the
Okay.
facility,
And
eventually.
then the lanes,
Now,
But it was
I don't know if initially it's gonna be given to the county first and then donated, but ultimately, it will become an on-system. This time it's still what is called an off-system project.
no system, but the advantage here, if it becomes on system for TechStop, is that you'll maintain it and improve it and.
Yeah, currently, Mayor, I know there's been discussions about bringing it on system. I'm not aware of any agreement. We'll have to look at it, go back. I know it is being built to textile standards within PO dollars, but currently there is no agreement that textile would take that over.
Yeah.
Certainly it is open for discussion in the future.
Mr. Salazar, if you would please explain to us some of the steps that have to be taken to get to that point, although initially it will be City of Laredo, Webb County. At some point, we'd like to transition it over so that it can be on system. Can you discuss at this time some of the procedure that needs to take place?
So the process would take some time, but before we get to that point, I think we would need to sit down and have some conversations, as I alluded to Mr. Alger a while ago, as far as the turnback program. Of course, we just had a great topic on the amount of money that I have to maintain some of these projects that I have on system now. Bringing on more miles would be proved to be more difficult. We can certainly have discussions in the future as far as turning back. We would be happy to take on Ruth and Jared in exchange for something else that the city is willing to maintain. But at the current time, we haven't had those discussions.
Well, currently, you all know San Bernardo.
That's correct.
And I think in the past, that there were some conversations that maybe we could trade that.
That's correct.
Yeah.
In the past, San Bernardo, you are correct, Mayor, has always come up. There's a couple of streets that go to Bridge 1. There's Spur Harney that we've discussed as well.
Is mile per mile, or is it based on value, or what it?
We can have discussions on
Okay,
that.
that's fine.
See what we can agree.
not again the RMA, maybe.
Yeah, okay, so, yeah, it's gonna require more discussion. Go ahead.
There's no additional dollar, it's all population-based, so there's no additional dollars if more miles come on board.
There is a formula that is utilized for the amount of funding that we get based on trucks, ADT. It's not per se, every year we're gonna get so much, so there's some.
So there is a formula. So if we have more truck traffic or more roads with truck traffic, that would then allow usually to have more funds available for that.
You would hope so, but I'm not too clear on that.
Okay, that's a discussion for another day, I guess, too, but it's important. Yeah, lanes, all the lanes, access roads, and the main lanes are gonna be, concrete,
Yes, it will be, designed for an overweight corridor,
yeah, all lanes.
all lanes.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, so I guess, yeah, dollars, will the city be expected to put in more money, or the county, or, at some point, or, we covered, just so it won't catch it by surprise?
Yeah, the first phase, which is from 1472 to Bellway Parkway, is about a $30 million project. And I believe that's on category 7, which is an MPO.
So that's covered.
Yeah.
So the city doesn't have to come up with any additional funds, or?
Well,
Do we have any matching, Mr. Salazar, do you know?
I'm sorry?
Yeah, is there a matching requirement from the city, on?
If it's on off system, there's a, what is it, 10%, 20%?
it's an 80-20, so that would be.
80-20.
20%?
Off system, that's correct.
So if it's 30 million, so 20%, 6 million?
Correct. And going back to the allocations that you get, if you wanna construct the project, right now, to 2019, we have $24.4 million that we've been banking throughout the years. Then we get about $6 million every year. So right now, by 2021, we should have the funding to construct the first segment.
Yeah.
Okay, but you're expecting a matching from the city and the county? Do you think, since we're gonna own it,
Now, I'm not sure if the right-of-way and the design plans will be part of the participation by the city.
okay, can you all find that out, because we
not
need a
funded.
plan?
Yeah, right away should be a match,
That's true.
donation of right away.
And it should be by 2021, that's the 2021 budget.
which is October
Yeah, I mean,
20.
there may be some
It's a year away.
different ways of participating, not necessarily cash.
Yeah, so, yeah, please make sure, we need a plan, city or
On the city portion.
county or both.
We're looking at completing the advanced planning development portion this year and what is called the construction plans during the 2020 year. So hopefully by 2021, everything will be
So,
ready.
that was my question. So when do you think PSNE will be done?
PSNE would be on the 2020 year,
But-
and we'll probably start right at the beginning, probably January. Of course, there's no contracts yet for that, but it shouldn't take but a year to develop the plans.
So a whole year, because the money will be available supposedly October of 20.
Yeah.
October of 20,
October of 20, yeah.
right?
We can make that happen if that's necessary.
You can or you can't?
No, we can, yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. Yeah, any other questions? And then, thank you very much.
Okay.
Yeah, can we,
Can I
yeah,
ask
every
a
month you'll be reporting to us, like usual?
Can I ask a quick question, just one little tiny question? The 50 million that's currently allocated, is that for the 2-lane overweight corridor or for the ultimate build out, the 6 lanes with the frontage roads?
I think it's for the ultimate.
It's the ultimate?
Yes.
Okay. Is it?
The $30 million, no, it's just the 2 lanes on the outside.
Two lanes on either side.
That's phase
That's what I
one.
thought.
Just the front,
Yeah, so it's for both of them, for Achar and Ruthinger, it's just,
The estimate that we have for the entire project, we're looking more, with all the overpasses, main lanes and everything, we're looking more like 100 million.
okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, but they were, yeah.
It's a long
Right
run
now,
from the
we're
original
only
$25 million guesstimate,
Doing the frontage roads.
right?
Okay, yeah. At some point, anyway, we'll have the conversation later.
Okay.
First things first, get the plans out, yeah.
right, and it may be a good idea to start looking at a strategy for going out for the proposals or the qualification statements to take on the next phases of the design.
Okay.
Any other questions?
We had the discussion with the technical committee, you know, the city can go ahead and start preparing for the PSNE, because they need to go out for contract the consultant to do the PSNE.
Great.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen, thank you very much. Moving on, status report by Mr. Steidman, NPO Director on the city's Laredo's Boulevard of the Americas project. Yeah, do we have any
Yes.
updates?
I just wanted to let you know that we've been meeting with them regularly. I've met with them, with the Abrazo partners, 3 times in the interim of the last time we spoke about this. And we're looking at different configurations of that design. They had a design they showed you, and we're looking at some possibilities of what we can do with that, maybe taking some, maybe we understand the desire for TxDOT to want to keep the same number of lanes. Maybe we move some of those in so that we can move some of that green space to the outside, because we have the same concern that I think has existed there, and that is, does that space really ever get utilized well in the middle, or does it become a space for people that are doing maybe activity that's not the best? So we're still in the process of looking through that, but I just want to be clear that we definitely see the value of beautification there, and we also see an opportunity with the extra right-of-way for maybe some programming on the side or the middle. Whatever we do, we want to work very closely with TxDOT. We want to bring them to the table. Last meeting we had traffic and engineering there from the city, and to be clear, this is a city project. It's funded by the city, but it was brought to the MPO because we want to make sure we're working with the policy committee and working with TxDOT. So as this is ongoing, you've asked to leave it as an agenda item. When there is news to bring, I'll update you with it.
Okay.
And we'll be working with TxDOT.
Yeah. That sounds good, Mr. Salazar?
Mr. Snyman, I have one question for you, and I applaud your efforts, and again, TxDOT is behind beautifying the downtown area. This 4-block Boulevard of Americas project, is this part of a bigger encompassing downtown area, or is it just localized to these 4 blocks? Is there a master plan or bigger master plan that you're working on? Or?
That's a great question. If you look at the work plan proposal for 2020, you'll see a downtown traffic study. And that your question is great, because it gets to the point of, if we're looking at this and the timing of these intersections and these lights and the flow of this, do we want to do that in a bubble, or do we want to look at the downtown as a whole? No, you're exactly right, we do. And that's the plan for 2020, is to look at, one of the things we want to do is eliminate, and this is a recommendation from our comprehensive plan, is changing some of these some of these one-ways back to two-ways. Because we have, at peak times in the afternoon when people are leaving downtown, we've funneled all of these down into a few one-way roads, and if it's being cut off because of a train, we create some serious traffic problems downtown. So there's accessibility and movement downtown. We want to look at these 4 blocks as a part of a bigger picture downtown.
And that plan, you're working on the bigger plan, or you have it completed?
We are. We don't have it completed. We don't even, this will be for next year a plan that we.
Sounds good. Thank you.
If I may, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Just a question. Have we, or can we rather, revisit the crosswalks as it relates to the street closest to the exit from the customs, from the port of entry?
I'll go.
Yes, because it seems like people are going most slow there, right? Because they're just coming off all these very serious speed humps and waiting on a light. It seems like that could be low-hanging fruit for purposes of a very robust crosswalking system to connect Azteca to the downtown. And then as it relates to maybe something on the other end of the Boulevard of the Americas, that we also contemplate some sort of a meaningful crosswalk system there, and allow for the traffic and the right-hand movements to take place in that span, but at the poles, use those, if you will, as the kind of the bridges between the downtown
Where they queue
and
up.
the Aztec. Yeah, where they can queue up, right?
You just can't queue in the crosswalk.
Exactly.
Yes, both of those issues that you pointed out are things we're talking about while we're still looking through the design of this. I'll just share, and I've shared it again, that I live downtown, I work downtown, I bicycle 80 or 90% of my trips, and this down through Hidalgo is my commute home.
Okay.
And there have been issues, I can, as someone who uses that twice a day, sometimes more, bicycling through that and going through these intersections, there are some serious design issues with how it currently is, and people that are unfamiliar, maybe coming from Mexico into here, not expecting pedestrians, are not using crosswalks the same way. So we're definitely looking at that, and I have some personal data to put in the process of design. So
Yeah, I'd be interested, maybe after the meeting, to pick your brain a little bit and get those recommendations as it relates to those crosswalks, so that we could perhaps package that and get it to TxDOT, and so that we don't, so we can get folks safely across these 2 spans.
Okay, we need to move on to, if y'all don't mind, a status report on TxDOT on the outer loop alignment study. Do we have any report there?
Yes, good afternoon, Roberto Rodriguez with TxDOT. On the Jacobs, the consultant that we hired for this study is still moving on. Right now, the only update I have is on September 10 and 11, these tentative dates. We're gonna have a stakeholders meeting, one on the north side of Laredo, one on the south side. We're gonna invite the property owners, the city of Laredo, Webb County, possibly the school districts, to see some of the input, maybe major utility companies, to present our first routes, first alternatives, and get some of their input. Especially we're very concerned with the property owners, get their input right now.
Okay, September 10th or 11th?
Yeah, September 10 and 11.
Where's that gonna be?
Well, we're still working on a location.
Okay.
We're thinking somewhere close to LCC South, and some on the north, maybe close to Tamiyuo, of another facility around that area.
Okay,
We're gonna have one on each day to visit with the property owner.
sounds good. Anything else? Next, the ongoing TxDOT projects?
Right, well, that one, it's presented by Mr. Carlos Rodriguez, and
Okay.
which he'll be retiring the end of this month, so it's probably his last.
Wow.
Oh,
Carlos, we're gonna miss you, Carlos.
Mayor, if you don't mind, Carlos Rodriguez will be retiring at the end of the month. This is his last MPO meeting. He's given this TxDOT over 35 years of service. Began his career in Corpus. He is a native of Laredo, very well known in the area, very instrumental in all that's happened here. He's actually worked on a lot of the major projects in the area. But with no further ado, Mr. Rodriguez, I don't know if you'll have a few words to say. I want to thank you personally for your time and service to the state of Texas and to the department.
Yes, thank you, David. And thank you all
committee. You all been elected officials in different capacities before I start with the projects. And we've worked together for many years. There's been city council, county, so forth, whatever. But everybody's been with the same goal in mind of basically having the city of Laredo grow. And I like what I see about the direction we're going as far as the city, the MPO, the county, and TxDOT. I remember times back, that was not the case. Those were bad times, now we're in good times. Now I just basically want to make sure that you all take this opportunity. And there's funds out there, there's a lot of work, and that everybody works together in harmony. There's going to be differences, of course. It's always going to be the case. But just work together, because remember, we represent the government, whatever different levels we are. And we're working out there for the traveling public. And the workers out there, yeah, they need to have our backing. Whether it be working at day or night, whatever type of weather condition. Okay?
On behalf of the commission here, the MPO, thank you so much, Mr. Rodriguez Carlos and Colleague Culture, because you know, you've done so much for our community. You've been here years and years, although I've been mayor just a few years. You were here even before. So what we see and what's been designed, I know you've been very much a part of that. And so your footprints are throughout our city as well. So, you know, we're very grateful for that. And thank you also for your philosophy, for the advice. It's a point between at least mine and the county as well, and the city, you know, to continue working together. In the past, there were some differences. You know, we do have differences, but it's how we approach them. And I think it's his willingness to, you know, to see each other as partners and divvy up the, you know, the duties and responsibilities that come to each entity. So again, thank you for that, you know, those kind words, and of course we'll miss you, and Godspeed to you and your family.
Thank you, Carlos, very much for your commitment to our community, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Carlos and I go way back.
Yeah, way back.
Thank you, Carlos.
Thank you, we're gonna miss you. Maybe you come visit us at the county, right?
Yep.
Okay, well, Carlos. So you have a little report for us?
Yes, sir. To begin with, first project I want to talk about is the one outside of our office. Is the Kansas City Railroad Oscar Renda project. That one is moving forward. Finally, we're basically saying that we're like 99% complete. We have one major sign that it had been placed, or it had been brought in. The pole was incorrect, but it's taking time to manufacture. It's my understanding that it's almost here, so we're close to completion on that project. The other one, the IS 3559 overpass, the SCR project, that one is moving pretty fast. The work is 85% complete. We're still on target for December of this year. The next project I'm going to talk about is the 359 project from the city limits, from outside the city of Laredo to Duval County line. Basically, that is Anderson Columbia project, 60% complete. On that particular one, I had talked to you all about a spot-based repair and then go back and do an overlay. This is the project. This one had two phases. You had one on 83, it's already been completed. This one here on 359, we already got the repairs, the spot base. Now we're trying to continue with the overlay and bring it into completion. Other project that I want to talk to you all about is a US 83 from the Demet County line to 3.4 miles south of 44. Basically, 3.4 miles south of 44 is basically where the checkpoint is at in 83. On that one right there, we're 6% complete. That project, the primary thing is basically shift your alignment in the traffic and start working in the structures. Once you have your structures in, and then you can start doing your roadway work. And little by little, will get completed. Estimated completion, that's gonna be December 2022. But I believe that little changes that's been done to the project will be in a lot sooner. Next project is the BI 59 on Saunders-Buena Vista. This one is a hot mix that was done in 59. That hot mix is being completed already. If you go to pilot the Unirail, you'll notice that there's hot mix that was done there on the northbound frontage road. On that one, we already completed that. We're just doing metal beam guard fence structural repairs there. And the next thing that's gonna be part of this project is gonna be on 255 from 1472 to Columbia Bridge. And then we have something outside of Laredo, which is on Highway 16, but that's kind of like immaterial. I'm trying to keep everything within the city limits. The next one I want to talk to you about is 3338. It's between 1472 and 255.
Could you change the slide?
Oh.
Oh, yes.
No, he's on this one, he's still on this one.
Oh, he's,
Bottom
yeah,
left.
the last one over here. Okay, I'm sorry, yeah.
That's also known as Peñitas Road. On that one, we just basically started the construction. That's why if you notice it's 0% complete. Right now, we're doing our traffic change. And
That's gonna allow for heavier trucks, correct?
yes. Then later on, I believe in the future, Rodo, we will have, we're gonna do this project, and then later on, we'll do some winding in that area. But that'll be in the future.
Correct. It's not funded, but we're already looking at schematics too.
So this is gonna alleviate also Mines Road traffic?
Yes.
Right, it's gonna give us,
Well, this is gonna help right now the regular loads that are being cited because they're not supposed to be taking this roadway. This is gonna help it.
thank you.
Currently, the roadway FM 3338 is Los Laquenas Road is load posted at 58,000 miles, which allows for a lot of illegal trucks or trucks that are 8,000 that can't travel. So the first phase of this project would be to get it to where 80,000 vehicles can travel on it. This is the first phase. And then Roberto and Tito's staff, Tito and Roberto's staff, they're working on, in the future, expanding to wider 4 lanes, divided highway, I believe, or 4 lanes and 1 turn.
Yeah, this is Las Tiendas Road, but
Yes.
It's a 5 lane.
Currently, we want to bring it up to 80,000 miles so we can travel, and then we'll wind it out in the future.
It's gonna help a lot, thank you.
Eventually, when this is done, hopefully you'll have this road, you'll have a chart, you have 1472, Mines Road.
Hopefully also El Vallecillo, a little shorter
Yes, sir.
with time, yeah.
With that, that's a little summary of the status of the projects.
A ver, yeah. Okay.
So I want to thank you all for everything.
No, thank you, Carlos. Thank you for your professionalism and your kindness.
Thank you, you're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
And next is the the last item is the RMA, and I know they're not here, so unless someone is going to present that report.
Yes, we've, they sent in a status report, so it can be, you can review it at your leisure, or if you'd like, I could go over it.
Motion to adjourn.
Second, yeah, but we need to hear it the next, someone needs to, well, I guess we can use you. There's some reports that are outstanding that they're doing for us.
Like I said, they sent in their status report,
okay, that's
giving
fine.
us a,
Yeah, just spell it to us and we'll
Can we
review
get
it.
It's in your packet.
Yeah.
It's in your
Okay,
packet.
we'll
Okay,
cover it.
great.
It's in your
Yeah,
packet.
thank you. Appreciate it. Mr. Stein?
Before you adjourn, can I say something quickly?
Sure.
We did it differently this time where we didn't print out packets, and depending on your feedback, we'd like to continue that. It saves a lot of staff time. Instead, we'll email you a link where you can find the packet online, and then day of, you'll have it in front of you like you do at a council
So
meeting.
yeah, I like the way y'all did it this time around.
Okay, thank you. That saves us a lot of time.
Hey, somebody brought it to my house.
Well, that's what we normally do. I guess we did that, but normally in the future,
Yeah, I
we'll
have it
email you
in
a
my
link.
Yeah, because, the public participation procedures require, or the bylaws actually require that we deliver it, 5 days in advance. So we are still following those rules.
And we'll deliver that through an email, through a link that you can get online.
Okay. Okay.
And the second thing, Sada shared some information with me. We're going to make sure we have this exact, and I will send you an email to update you on the numbers. But the fiscal year 2018 rollover amount was 1.8 million. Of that this year, and we got 550,000. So that brought us up to 2.3, 2.4 million. This year, we're probably going to use about 400,000. So that'll mean for fiscal year 20, we're going to have about 1.8, 1.9 million. That's what it looks like from the numbers she showed me. I'm going to finalize that.
Well, she said the 550 was already included, so you're not gonna have that.
So what we're looking at for a total amount we could spend in 2020 would be about 1.8, 1.9 million. And of that, I'm only asking to spend 1.1 million. So we have, as it looks, and I'll confirm this, quite a big cushion still that
Very
we can
good.
pull from in future years.
Appreciate it.
That helps a lot. Thank you for that report. A motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Second discussion, none heard, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against, none heard, motion carries. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Good seeing you, man.
You too?
Yes, sir. Good time the other day at
Yeah.
dinner.
Empiezo otra vez.
I'm gonna be here.